This programme is the Petro-Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli.
Hello and welcome to Brands Hatch for rounds 3 and 4 of the Petro-Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli. We've got over 30 cars on the grid today, so it's going to be very busy out on the Grand Prix circuit. Pete, who had a fantastic time out last time at Donington in the new 997. Pete, what's been happening this weekend in the car? And you've also heard that you've got another car with you.
What happened was we drive shaft seal kept popping out, so I've had put 3 in yesterday. So Andy's in America, so I rang him up and says, I might need to use your car, so he says go for it. So basically I've just qualified 2 cars, but the seal seems to be hanging on in the 997. And so thanks Andy for lending me, but I'll go out with 997. So, but I qualified down in the pack, but I wasn't trying that hard. There's more to come in the car.
Simon, we've not actually seen you since last September, which again we're at the Brands GP circuit again, but you're in a different car this time, and I'm hearing that you're doing very well in qualifying.
Yeah, I had a great session actually, different car, but we had a Cayman built over the winter, it just came together in qualifying. I was a bit concerned about traffic because it's a busy grid, but everyone's driving standards was brilliant, and I managed to get a couple of quite quick laps in, so I'm over the moon and looking forward to the race.
Kevin, great to be back here at the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit, obviously from last year. Qualifying not gone as well as you probably would have liked.
No, not too good today. Can't really work it out because in practice a week ago we went well and went faster, so not really sure, but the race is what it's all about.
Have you had to do any testing beforehand, any prep before this weekend?
Yeah, we did manage to do a track day because there was no testing on the GP circuit, so we came out a couple of weeks ago and had a play, but that was good fun.
The cars are heading out now for the start of race 1. I'll hand over to Richard to go through the grid.
Thanks very much, Fern. Mark Sumpter on pole position, the championship leader. Simon Clark is outside. Michael Price and Peter Urseg, row 2. Class 2 headed by their championship leader Jonathan Evans from Craig Wilkins. Great to welcome back Stuart Ings into Class 4. Class 3 headed by Joshua Morris in the Porsche Centre Bolton car, with Ben McLaughlin in Porsche Centre Bournemouth alongside. Away we go. Not a great start by Kevin Harrison, who's slowing up. Michael Price has lost the position to Peter Urseg, who is up into 3rd place. So good start by Peter Urseg. Simon Clark makes a great start as well. Sumpter's on the inside, but Simon Clark's got his nose in front on the way up to Druids. But Sumpter's got the line, goes through into the lead. The Paragon, Bayliss and Harding car goes through into the lead. Simon Clark in second. It's a great start by Clark and a very good run indeed up into Druids. Held his nerve on the outside line, but it wasn't to be. James Birch up ahead of defending champion Mark McAleer. Mark off the back of 2 retirements, sadly, at Donington Park, so not the start he wanted to his campaign. Chris Dyer is in behind in the Strasser prepared Cayman. Another Strasser car, that of Pete Morris, is behind him. And Peter Urseg was in 3rd, but he's passed now by Michael Price. Was I don't think as quick off the line as he wanted to be, but has regained position up into 3rd. Onto this fantastic Grand Prix loop. There is Pete Morris in car 2 chasing Chris Dyer, and Pete further back than he would like to be at the moment. It's even more competitive than usual this championship. Morris chasing Dyer, the undulations and sweeps of the Brands Hatch GP, so you couldn't design a track like this. And off in the background, I think, was Craig Wilkins, who's running in Class 2. We'll have more of that for you anon. but it looked like Craig Wilkins, I think, going off into the dirt. End of lap number 1 though, and I think they've all survived. James Birch we saw momentarily chasing, but these two, Mark Sumter and Simon Clark, 1 and 2 on the grid with a decent enough lead. There is Stuart Ings. Great to welcome Stuart back. Nice to see the 944 up ahead of the pink livery Porsche Centre Wolverhampton car of William Heslop. Clark wants to get back in and have a go at the lead. The Caymans seem very well suited here to the Grand Prix circuit at Brands Hatch. I was about to say, you couldn't design this track. It's built into the natural contours of the Kent countryside. David Botterill coming under pressure from Ben McLaughlin, and we've got a car off. I think that's going to be a safety car, and I think that's Jamie Woods in the 35 car, Premier Panel Skills car. The Class 3s are the 3.2 S models run by official Porsche centres under the Resta Racing banner, so we've got some classic liveries. It looks like Jamie is okay, which is the good news, but that car is stricken, and very often, safety car. I was about to say that will most likely bring out a safety car. Class 3s running factory sport suspension, Pirelli road tyres, so they start in a separate grid, and a very, very healthy and superb looking grid it is. But it's Mark Sumter, the race leader, from Simon Clark. Michael Price, you can see how clearly MSV signal the fact that we have got a safety car, so they'll close up. It's Peter Urseg in 4th position, and a good qualifying for Peter, 4th position in the PB Racing Cayman. So Sumter now will get an early breather, probably doesn't need it or indeed want it at this stage, but it's ironic the cars had made it round Paddock Hill Bend for the first time when they were particularly crowded, and then sadly we do lose one, which as you can see is still stuck in the gravel. And it's a long safety car lap here on the GP circuit as well. So this is going to give the cars just a little bit of a breather. Championship, as I said, led by Mark Sumter, as indeed is the race. Craig Wilkins second in Class 1, but he'll drop down, racing in Class 2 this weekend after problems. Pete Morris third from Chris Dyer, James Birch, and Simon Clark is currently 6 in the Class 1 standings. Getting ready to race once again. There is Jonathan Evans, Class 2 championship leader following Donington Park. Trevor Lewis running second in the championship. Safety car is into the pit lane, and it looks like a good start from the top 2. Michael Price back in 3rd position, so we'll see whether we can have a little bit of a sort out on positions here. Clark is not close enough to Mark Sumter, who would have been in this position many, many times. On board with 4th place man Peter Urseg. Peter had 2 top 10 finishes, 9th and 8th at Donington Park, so 4th a lot stronger, looking very happy on this very challenging circuit is Peter. And local man Kevin Harrison, great to have him debuting for the season with us, one of the most experienced drivers along with David Botterill in this championship. Here comes Stuart Ings, about to be challenged by Wayne Minogue in the Porsche Centre Nottingham car, Joshua Morris in the Porsche Centre Bolton car, the number 6, and Mark McAleer looking good here on the outside line of James Birch. Makes the move, and the RVR UK machine goes round the outside. That is not a move you see pulled off too often, so that was a good bit of driving by McAleer there, round the outside, and to do it in a Porsche I'd say even harder. So super move by the defending champion, who's looking to get his first race finish of the season under his belt. Pete Morris had a good Donington, 3rd and 2nd place in the 2 races, and in theory could annex 2nd position in standings after this race if he has another good run. Sumter still there, Clark, Price, Peter Urseg is next in the PB Racing 15 car. Chris Dyer still running well too, as the race leaders cross the line once again. The race leader in Class 2, I can tell you, is Jonathan Evans once again. Super to welcome Jonathan back into the championship. Pete Morris about to have a look at the inside line there. Is there room? Has he got the grip? There isn't room is the answer, because Chris Dyer, you can see strasser.co.uk written on the back. They are teammates. They both of course pay for their own racing, and they're not going to cede positions particularly easily, as we watch Ollie Coles busy chasing Wayne Minogue in the Porsche Centre Nottingham cars. We said these cars look absolutely wonderful. Look at the dust being kicked up there, and Coles is going to try and go through on the inside line into Druids. Minogue running wide, but that should give him the inside line down Graham Hill and into Graham Hill Bend, which it does. And Coles, as I say, they are super liveries, aren't they? Martini being chased by the real thing here. Joshua Morris keeping them company as well. Joshua qualifying on pole position in the Porsche Centre Bolton machine. So Dyer and Pete Morris still having their battle. Super shot of the race leaders going through. Car 42 is James Birch. So Chris Dyer trying to close down on him, and then it is Pete Morris, but out front Mark McAleer holding station up ahead of a very impressive Simon Clark, who is taken to Petro Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli Racing with ease. Kevin Harrison still trying to make progress as well in the 16 car. Across the line goes Harrison, and he's trying to get in on this battle with Pete Morris and Chris Dyer. And Dyer looking comfortable at the moment out front. Peter had that challenge into Paddock a couple of laps ago, but not really close enough at the moment to be able to get in front of him. Kevin Harrison, you can see, taking a wider sweep as they go down into Graham Hill Bend. This might give him a run along Cooper Straight, very possibly. He might tee up the inside line, but I think that Podium Pete has got that covered. In fact, doesn't go that defensive there, Pete Morris, although you can see that Kevin Harrison is starting to get closer. David Botterill goes through shot. David 6 in Class 2. Trevor Lewis up ahead of the man leading the Class 3s, man with British GT experience. Ben McLaughlin comes from Hampshire, and the Porsche Centre Bournemouth car leading Class 3, and Ben's done a good job to get that car ahead of pole position man in class Joshua Morris here at Brands. Still in third position is Michael Price, being chased by Peter Urseg and Mark McAleer. This is where Peter came under pressure on lap number 1 and was indeed passed by Michael Price. Not sure where, well, McAleer's still right behind, so Mark, I don't think, about to repeat the move that we saw a couple of laps ago. Super move round the outside into Hawthorns, and he remains in 4th place, but he remains on a mission as well. Cat and mouse between those two for 4th and 5th position. The race still led by Mark Sumter from Simon Clark. Mark McAleer, from his point of view, I think he'll be happy to just get some points on the board for this year after a disastrous Donington Park. Mark Sumter, though, clear at the moment from Simon Clark. Simon racing hard in his Cayman, but unable to close the gap at the moment on the race leader and indeed the Class 1 championship leader. Jonathan Evans still leading Class 2 at the moment. So, in fact, Mark McAleer now is ahead of Peter Urseg. So out in the country, which is what they call the Grand Prix loop here at Brands Hatch, McAleer's gone through, and a problem there for Andrew Muggeridge in Class 2. Peter Urseg slows. He's got a problem, so that would have helped Mark McAleer go through. Peter Urseg, very sadly, out of the race. Showing great form in this one. Retirement's coming thick and fast. We are heading towards the later stages of round 3 of the championship here on the Grand Prix circuit at Brands Hatch. So Kevin Harrison busy chasing Pete Morris in car number 2. Peter, multiple champion. I'm sure if you've watched the programmes before, you'll know that. If you haven't seen Petro Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship racing with Pirelli, then you won't know that. But we've got a host of champions as Peter Urseg extricates himself from the car. There in yellow, briefly in red, was Ben McLaughlin leading Class 3. And this is a Class 2 battle with Trevor Lewis second in the championship standings, busy chasing Craig Wilkins, who, yes, Craig Wilkins running in Class 2. And Craig in 3rd place at the moment. Jonathan Evans class leader, Paul Seagrave second in red, and 3rd place, battle between Craig and Trevor at the minute. Through goes in 3rd position Michael Price, And Lewis and Wilkins having a good old dice of it at the moment. Who's going to make the podium and score the points? Craig Wilkins there, and you can see down the road the red car of the second place man in class, which is Paul Seagrave. Simon Clark though in the DW reporting came in working hard, as to is Steve Freeman chasing David Bottrell, the venerable 964. Great character is David, lives up near Croft Circuit, and that's Ben McLaughlin in class 3 closing down on those guys as well. Looks like an issue for Simon Raphael Ward in the Porsche Centre Leeds class 3 car, so he's going to be, I think, the 4th or 5th retirement so far in this race. No problems for Jonathan Evans, who continues to lead class 2 and is going to, I think, be the only unbeaten man. Indeed was the only unbeaten driver, wasn't he, in class 1 or 2 from Donington Park. Outside line here from Steve Freeman, passes David Bottrell, Paddock Hill Bend, lovely move, and David will give chase once again. That was for 5th place in class, and Ben McLaughlin getting in the mix as well, round the outside. Now remember, the class 3 started in their own grid. The Resta Racing class 3 cars started in their own grid, but some of them were quicker than some of the class 2 cars, so they will get up amongst the traffic and get a little bit of overtaking. So Ben McLaughlin, although being clear at the moment in the class lead, he is being made to work hard. Second place is William Heslop, and third place Josh Morris. There is Kevin Harrison still working hard. Simon Clark in second position. Fastest lap of the race still with the race leader Mark Sumter, who now he approaches traffic, has his lights on. He'll just let the traffic that he's coming up on, as we have another retirement, will of course get the blue flags from the marshals. There is James Birch up ahead of Kevin Harrison. Quick flick and see how we're doing in class 2. Jonathan Evans is still there and has got clear track really in front and behind him, so no racing for him, and no further racing for Stephen Brown in the Porsche Centre Cardiff class 3 car, and Stephen becomes indeed our 5th retirement in this race. There is Paul Seagrave. So if you're looking ahead from Seagrave's car, you're looking for the white car of Jonathan Evans. So here's a battle on. William Heslop busy chasing Ollie Coles in the Porsche Centre Swindon car, so good battling going on in all 3 of our classes, it has to be said, at the moment. And Stuart Ings is there as well, running in class 4, the lone class 4 entrant, which is a good cost-effective way of coming into Petro Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Racing with Pirelli. And look at that, super stuff from Stuart Ings, right on the inside line. The race leader goes past, no trouble at all. And Stuart over and above the call of duty there. Class 2 leader again on track on his own. Race leaders closing in on Ed Grimshaw in the Strasser prepared Class 2 car. Ings has got back on the case, and Ben McLaughlin has now got clear of Steve Freeman. So it's McLaughlin and Freeman, Class 3 leading Class 2. Another Class 2 car, David Bottrell, busy chasing as well. And David's still in 6th position, which coincidentally was his class position championship points-wise coming into this meeting now, as Michael Price closes up on Stuart Ings. Stuart again pulls over to the inside line. Price powers his way past. He'll be looking in his mirrors to see where Mark McAleer is. Race leader though, Mark Sumter in the Paragon Bayliss and Harding car, still out front. Second position in the DW reporting Cayman S is Simon Clark. The gap not coming out big time, so Simon is trying to keep the pressure on. Mark McAleer busy closing at the moment on Michael Price. So we're going to have a closing stages battle between these two. Price nips through past the Class 2 car of Ed Grimshaw, and Mark McAleer does the same thing. You can see the gap for the race leaders. Clark, I think, maybe getting a little bit closer to Mark Sumter. Sumter's still the fastest man on track, and will come across the line again to go on to the last lap here on the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. He's got a decent lead, and he's been in this position many times as Mark Sumter. Simon Clark, I think, is going to be pleased with his race as a relative newcomer to this championship. Julian Morris there up ahead of the 24 car of Carl Hazelton, the Porsche Centre Chester machine. We've got a good mix of experienced drivers and some newcomers in that class as Mark McAleer challenges now. The challenge is on for third place, and Michael Price is under pressure from the defending champion. We've got pressure here as well from Steve Freeman, looking to try and get past the Class 3 leader Ben McLaughlin, but Ben looking reasonably comfortable out front to take the first win in Class 3 here. It's a splendid grid, really super effort from the Porsche Centres for Class 3 this weekend, and we look forward to seeing them again. And through and past Wayne Minogue in the 46 car, the Martini livery, goes the race leader, and Mark Sumter very much well on his way. We've got a super battle going on here though, with the pink car of Wayne Heslop being challenged by Ollie Coles, who goes off on the grass and goes wide. Josh Morris in the mix as well. Coles loses out a little bit there and back into fourth place. This is second, third and fourth position in Class 3. And a three-way battle between those guys. I don't think they're going to be caught by Mark Sumter, so they're going to stay on the lead lap. So good achievement for the Class 3s, but it's going to be Mark Sumter who will take a win to add to pole position and fastest lap. He takes the win. Simon Clark is a very well earned second place. Third goes to Michael Price ahead of Mark McAleer, and Mark Sumter takes his second win of the year. Class 2 will be 3 out of 3 for this man, Jonathan Evans, in the 36 car, the CRH Racing machine is going to come through, and it's a clear win for Jonathan Evans. Look at the gap that he's got over the red car in the distance, which is the second place man in class, Paul Seagrave. David Botterill still working hard as well, but in yellow and red, the Porsche Centre Bournemouth car of Ben McLaughlin wins Class 3. Here's the result then: Sumter from Clark, Price, McAleer, Kevin Harrison 5th, Chris Dyer and James Birch, Pete Morris 8th, then Jonathan Evans winning Class 2 from Paul Seagrave and Craig Wilkins. Trevor Lewis, Ben McLaughlin wins Class 3. Steve Freeman next from David Botterill. William Heslop second in 3. Josh Morris, Ollie Coles, Wayne Minogue and Ed Grimshaw. Fastest lap, Mark Sumter.
Mark, congratulations. That is making it look easy.
It wasn't easy. I mean, it wasn't the most difficult race, but Simon got a slightly better start, so I had to be quite defensive for the first 2 corners. With this car, I've sort of noticed that don't try to make too good a start, just make a consistently good start, and it was good enough. But I would have liked a bit more comfort if possible for the next race.
This new livery is working quite nicely, Simon. That was brilliant, P2.
Yeah, it was great, absolutely fantastic. So a dream race. I was able to get clear of Mike and just kind of settle into it and try and see like how I could find some extra pace to keep up with Mark. I think the first kind of couple of laps, I was probably certain parts of the circuit he was slowing me down, but over the course of a lap, I just couldn't quite get close enough to him to make a move. But yeah, no, it was fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Mike, I'm wondering if it's the luck of this new lovely awning that you've got, but another podium for you.
I'll take any luck that I can get. Yeah, that was very good. After a problem getting the car started out of assembly, I was just happy to get off the start line. A lively race. The heat, I think, probably had its effect on the handling a little bit towards the end, the tyres, and it was hard work at the end. Mark McAleer was definitely, he wasn't just closing, he was closed, and I had to keep it very tidy, which is easier said than done sometimes under pressure, so it's very rewarding. Thank you.
Jonathan, congratulations, another win that makes it 3 out of 3 so far this year.
Yeah, it's great, we're going really well. The last time we raced, the car just to say been pulled out the shed as a last minute replacement, so the last couple of weeks the guys have done quite a bit of mechanical work. Found a few fairly major issues, so I think we were fairly lucky to get through Donington, but we did, and they've been corrected, so yeah, we should be all right. It's going quite well today, yeah, very pleased.
Paul, fantastic, P2 in class.
Yeah, it's really good. 4th on the grid, got a good start. Give Craig Wilkins a tap at the start, but then we got going, and I was chasing Jonathan Craig at the back, and Craig had a moment, so I got into second, and I could see Craig Wilkins behind me and Jonathan in front, but that was about it, but I drove really hard, so yeah.
Ben, congratulations on your win there.
Thank you.
It's fun. Like a really good race.
It was, yeah, a lovely sunny day, and we had a good race, and the car held together. These Boxsters are doing a great job. Their first ever race in this resto racing project that Porsche have put together, and I scored a little bit of damage, as you can see, but the rest of the car held together, so we won the race. It was really good.
Fantastic. And as you say, Porsche Centre Bournemouth has actually put this car together. I'm sure it's taken a lot of time and a lot of people to put this together.
Yeah, a mammoth effort by these guys who have never built a race car. And that's the same for all of these centres. But this is the first time all these guys have put racing cars together and these particular cars with this spec. So for it to all run basically tickety-boo, it's been a fantastic day, isn't it? Yeah.
Josh, so you put it on pole, you've just come in P3. Pretty good result for your first time out racing?
Ever time, yeah. First ever time in race car racing at Brands Hatch. We could have got a better start in the race, but I've never ever done a quick start in it. By the end of the first lap, I think I was down to about P5, and then it was just a matter of building a bit of confidence up in myself and trying to reel everyone in. And thankfully, I've come home in P3. I did think I finished in P4, so I was a bit iffy, but I found out it's P3, which is good.
William, from P3 on the grid to P2, pretty great for a podium in your first race out in racing for Porsche Centre Wolverhampton.
Yeah, very happy with it. Qualified well, the times are up there. I think there was 3 tenths between the top 3 of us, so it's very close. Made up for an error that the other lad from Bolton made on the start, so managed to pick that position up pretty quick, and we went from there.
Fantastic race for you there, Kevin.
Yeah, brilliant. The start was terrible, but we made up some places during the race, which was good fun.
So was there anything that actually went wrong at the start then? Obviously you dropped back a bit, but managed to come all the way through to 5th.
Yeah, on the start line my clutch pedal dropped to the floor when the lights went red, so I was trying to get the brake pedal up with my left foot and everyone was rushing past, so yeah, I think I got around the first bend in about 10th or 11th place, so bit of a nightmare, but throughout the race we got up to 5th place, which was really good.
A lot of drivers have been complaining about the weather and that affecting their tyres. Have you had to make any changes, or will you be making any changes before we go out for race 2?
No, not really. Got the clutch working properly. We've made a few adjustments to the suspension, but you can't help it. This weather, the tyres, 25 minutes, they're going to go off, and it does get a bit slippery. You just have to manage it, and everyone else is in the same boat, so that's where we are. So no, it should be fine.
Chris, you qualified in P7, but then you managed to make up a place in the race. It went real well for you.
Yeah, got up to P6. My teammate Pete were trying to get me at Paddock Bend, but we'll let him past. But yeah, we're pleased. We haven't been tested on GP circuit, so I'm happy with P6. Starting from P5 in next race, so see if we can go up the order then.
So there weren't any team tactics or anything going on there time-wise. You're quite similar, I think.
Yeah, pretty similar. Yeah, there's no team tactics. Don't give Pete an inch. No, that's it.
Have you made any changes ahead of race 2?
Just softened it off a little bit on suspension, and no, not much really.
Craig, pretty good weekend for you last time out at Donington, but this just isn't going to plan, is it, here at Brands Hatch?
No, it isn't. Unfortunately, we managed to break a main shaft in the gearbox in testing yesterday on the 996. So there's no time really to repair it, and we don't carry spares for that. So I've decided to race my Boxster in Class 2 to support the championship. The car is actually a track day car, although it's to race specification. We don't have the full suspension on it. So I was quite pleased with getting P2, and actually managed to get into the lead at the start of the race, and then had a bit of a Billy moment, which is unusual.
Yeah, because we were confused as to whether you were going to be classed as Class 1 or Class 2, because your points would obviously go towards Class 1 if you stayed in Class 1. It all gets a bit confusing, but I'm sure you just want to get the best position you possibly can, come away with whatever you can from the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as a championship, I'd never dream of trying to swap cars and keep points. That's not how it works. So yeah, we're just out having a race, and we'll see if we can do better in race 2.
Dave, we're getting a very spontaneous interview. I'm very sorry. You're getting in the car now for race 2, Dave. I've just heard that it's your 30th year of motorsport this year. That's pretty impressive.
It is. I started in '89. I actually started at this circuit on the Grand Prix circuit, so it took 17 years before I was able to do it again. So it's always special coming and race on the GP circuit at Brands.
It's been going really well for you.
Yeah, it's been going okay. I think the Boxster's a bit weight out and they're going a bit quicker. I've got some things I need to try and do to try and get a bit more on the pace with them, but I don't think we're too far away.
Great. Well, you're being called to the grid, so I'll let you crack on.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks.
Happy anniversary, David Bosrell, a long-term supporter of the championship, a great driver as well. Here's the grid for race 2. Mark Sumter on pole, Simon Clark alongside. Class 2 headed again by Jonathan Evans with Craig Wilkins next to him. Class 4 Stuart Ings. The Class 3 grid, which is separate at the back. Ben McLaughlin on pole from Joshua Morris. On board here with Michael Price. Glorious weather here at Brands Hatch for rounds 3 and 4 of the championship. Round 4 underway. Michael Price struggling again off the line, loses a shed load of positions, so he's got 3 cars past him, with Mark McAleer looking to the outside line, currently in 4th. But on the inside line is going to be James Birch. Michael Price coming back. Inside line there on Mark McAleer, gets the position back, but it's Mark Sumter leading. Simon Clark in 2nd. McAleer around the outside line of Price. Those two are side by side. Good start by Chris Dyer from 5th on the grid. He's running in 3rd place at the moment. There's Pete Morris in car number 2. Peter running off 8th position on the grid. Very competitive Class 1. Well, all the classes are competitive, but the championship seems to get stronger and stronger. And the race leaders onto the Grand Prix loop for the first time in round 4. Pete Morris chasing arch rival, I think we can safely say, Mark McAleer. Those two have a fair number of championships under their belt. The Golf livery number 10 is Julian Morris, and then we've got the 24 car of Carl Hazelton in the Porsche Centre Chester Class 3 machine. Remember, the Class 3 is starting in a separate grid off the back, and a super effort to have such a great grid of wonderful looking cars as James Birch now starts to put pressure on Michael Price. The race leaders heading to Dingle Dell for the first time. Sumter leads Clark, then Dyer, and then the green machine of Michael Price. There in 39 is Ollie Coles in the mix. Ben McLaughlin looking to try and get away once again in the Class 3 cars. Super shot here from Ollie Coles coming down into Sterling's. He's going to be able to make the move. A little bit too far back at the moment is Ollie. Race leaders on to lap 2. Still Mark Sumter out front, and you can see Sumter and Clark starting to build a bit of a lead. We've got Caymans running 2nd and 3rd place. Michael Price looks at the inside line. Then we've got James Birch in the GT Marks car, followed by Mark McAleer. Pete Morris is next. Graham Hill Bend onto Cooper Straight. Maybe the opportunity to have a look on the inside line. Probably less of an opportunity using the Grand Prix loop because of the momentum they need to set up to go onto Pilgrims. So up into Druids come the Class 3s. Class 2 interloper there, Steve Freeman. So Steve not having perhaps had the best of starts, but enjoying his racing there. Car number 80, the green car, James Cannon in the Porsche Centre Cambridge stroke Colchester. Mark Sumter still out front. He's going to be looking to just keep chipping away. Those two clear. Simon Clark still in 2nd place. Chris Dyer is in 3rd, and having a look now on the inside line is James Birch. Birch goes through on the inside line. Michael Price not as quick there as we've seen him. Is Price maybe struggling a little bit? He certainly lost a place there. And now Mark Sumter looks up the inside line, and there's contact between the pair of them. Sumter continues, and oh no! Pete Morris is out. Kevin Harrison got caught up in that as well. Heartbreaking to see. And those two cars, that without a question of a doubt is going to be a safety car intervention. The fact that those cars have stopped there means that others could well do as well. James Birch now challenging for 3rd place on Chris Dyer, and Peter Morris thought he picked up some damage. Peter comes into pit lane. Is this going to be remedial or retirement? Race leaders coming down from Druids possibly will be aware of what happened in the mirror. Confirmation the safety car is out. Kevin Harrison disconsolate because that's a very expensive accident and caused by inadvertently by Mark McAleer looking up the inside line on Michael Price, who didn't look happy. He was passed very quickly by James Birch. Here is Mark McAleer who continues, and remember Mark might have picked up some damage in that as well. We've got one of the Class 3s out as well. That's William Heslop who is out, and William, remember, was second in class in race number 1, so a change of fortune there. That group of cars led by Jamie Woods, who was the man in the gravel in race number 1 in the Premier Panel Skills entered class 3 car. Safety car gives everybody a breather. To be fair, they don't want it on lap 2. If you have a safety car, probably better for most people mid to late race, because it closes things up. Great for spectators, not so good if you've got a good lead. These two were building a lead. Mark Sumpter and Simon Clark continuing to be the two drivers that the others are aspiring to here on the GP circuit at Brands Hatch. So a good run again from the Caymans. We've got Cayman 2nd, 3rd and 4th here, so very well suited to this track. Simon Clark the leading Cayman, Chris Dyer is next up, and then James Birch in the GT Marks car, and he's followed by the RVR UK machine of Mark McAleer, entered by RVR with Cartech and Care. 4th position, first points for him in the 2018 campaign, so Mark will be pleased with that one. Safety car lights are still on. They would need to be out by now if we were going to avoid another lap. It's a fairly hefty clear up that the marshals and rescue teams have to do here. Quick reminder, we are at Silverstone GP for the meeting first weekend in June. Hope you can join us there. The end of June, Snetterton 300, and two drivers swapping notes. There is our class 3 man out of it, so I can tell you that Pete Morris has retired. Michael Price and Kevin Harrison we just saw in shot. William Heslop, he'll be keen next time out to try and bag a few points to claw his way up the early standings in Class 3 for the Resta Racing cars, which have made a big impression on everybody here. So safety car continues, and we'll have the resumption of the race after the break. Still under safety car here at Brands Hatch after the retirement of Pete Morris. Recovery for Michael Price and Kevin Harrison. And William Heslop's car might be recovered as well. He's out of the race, so 4 retirements on lap 2 of round 4 of the championship. Race led by championship leader Mark Sumpter, with Simon Clark in 2nd place. Only his 2nd meeting in the Petro Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli here at Brands Hatch. 2nd meeting at Brands Hatch rather than his 2nd meeting full stop, because he did race with us at Donington as well. The safety car lights are out though, and it is down to Mark Sumpter to tee them up. We've still got a car parked up there, which I think the organisers have decided is okay. Everybody will certainly be aware that the car is there. Drivers are okay, and we are racing once again with Mark Sumpter heading them away. Keep your eyes on James Birch in 3rd place, who looks poised to have a little nibble here at Chris Dyer. He was very close, goes to the outside line, but I don't think anything doing as they went into paddock. Here is the Class 3 battle. Wayne Minogue in the Porsche Centre Nottingham car, the Martini livery, is challenging hard. There is Trevor Lewis chasing Craig Wilkins, and Paul Seagrave in behind. 2nd, 3rd and 4th in Class 2, those 3, just to give you the picture as we look at the battle for the podium place going on in Class 1. Out front still Mark Sumpter, so a 3-way scrap, and again Mark McAleer, who's looked pretty handy on the GP circuit, is going to try and chase James Birch down. A little bit of smoke coming out of the car in front here, the Gulf livery of Julian Morris. Julian up ahead of Carl Hazelton, and then we've got Jamie Woods, and following Jamie Woods, 39 car of Ollie Coles in the mix as well. They'll be relieved to see the waving green flags around the track now as James Birch looks on the inside line of Chris Dyer. There's barely room, he puts a wheel on the grass. That could have been a little bit nasty, but there was half a gap there which he went for, and he's on the outside line here, Birch, now as they come down into Stirling's Bend. What a keen scrap we've got on for 3rd place at the moment. Race leaders coming through, and it's Chris Dyer still there at the moment. Birch looking handy. despite the pressure of Mark McAleer, who's right behind him. So McAleer wants to get up onto the podium. We'll see what he can achieve by the end of the race in the number 1 car. But this takes a little bit of a breather now for these three. Bit of a gap developing, and now Birch starts to close up again. A wide line at Paddock Hill Bend starts to build the momentum, and he's going to look at the inside line. Can he get it? Dyer's got it covered. Late run. Switch to the inside line there for Birch. Jonathan Evans goes through. Trevor Lewis is second in class. Then we've got Paul Seagrave and Craig Wilkins third and fourth. Craig, who will pick up points, racing in Class 2, and they'll have to be added to his Class 1 for the overall standings as we watch the 35 car of Jamie Woods, thankfully getting some lappery in this one after winding up in the gravel early doors in race number 1. So Paul Seagrave ahead of Craig Wilkins. It's always fascinating to see a driver move from Class 1 into Class 2. Not great for Craig, of course, whose Class 1 car was broken, as you heard in the interview with Fern. But a great driver is Craig Wilkins, very handy in Class 1 and good in Class 2 as well. As coming through is Steve Freeman, putting pressure on the 35 car of Jamie Woods, who's one of the front runners in Class 3. Jamie qualified in 6th position for this one. Still Mark Sumpter out front though. Simon Clark busy chasing him, and those two, despite battling, getting away from the battle for third, which is still held by Chris Dyer, the Yorkshireman, still there. Leaders across the line once again, and on to the last lap here. So Sumpter from Clark, and as you can see, Simon Clark is closer than he was in race number 1, and this is going to be a big confidence build for Simon Clark heading to the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit for our next round. Clark piles the pressure on. Mark Sumpter though is not a man to be easily dislodged. Down Graham Hill, through Graham Hill Bend for the last time. The winner in theory should come from these two. Great battle still going on for third place. There is car number 66 Trevor Lewis, who's having a good run again in Class 2. He's running second in Class 2. Then Paul Seagrave in red is third in 2. Fourth position with Craig Wilkins at the moment. It's going to be another win for Jonathan Evans. There is Jonathan just at the end of Cooper Straight, about to go down Pilgrim's Drop. Meanwhile, race leaders well clear, and the battle for third is now in favour of James Birch. So James Birch in third place. Chris Dyer still fighting, as you saw, and is in fourth position. So good battle between those two. Through the shot goes Alistair Nelson, the Porsche Centre Wilmslow car, the red 21 machine. And the race leaders, this is a battle to the flag, and having a look now to go through is Simon Clark. Has a look at it, but can't quite do it. That might be his last opportunity. Simon Clark through Stirlings for the last time, coming down into Clearways, and Simon Clark very much marking himself out as a man to watch in this championship this weekend. I think it's going to be Mark Sumpter to take the win. Clark is still harrying him, but here they come down towards the line. 3 wins in succession for Mark Sumpter. Simon Clark is in second place. James Birch will take third position. Class 2 will go to Jonathan Evans. Jonathan running in 5th place, and it's a clear win again. Trevor Lewis running second. Paul Seagrave is in third place. So another class win, unbeaten this year, is Jonathan Evans. Meanwhile, Ben McLaughlin is going to make it 2 out of 2 in Class 3 this weekend. McLaughlin heading Joshua Morris in car number 6. So it's been a great debut weekend for the full grid. Josh Morris runs in second place. He's going to be pleased with that. Third position in Class 3 is with car number 35, which is Jamie Woods. And here comes Jamie now, up ahead of Ollie Coles, who's going to take a brace of 4th places. And down behind him is Wayne Minogue in the Porsche Centre Nottingham car. Such a shame that we had the safety car early on in the race, but nonetheless some great racing from all concerned. Confirmation of Mark Sumpter's win. Fastest lap again for him. Simon Clark next up from James Birch and Chris Dyer. Jonathan Evans winning Class 2 once again. Class 3, 11th overall, Ben McLaughlin from Joshua Morris. Then interlopers David Bottrell and Stuart Ings. Third in class going to Jamie Woods.
Congratulations, Mark. Fantastic win, but obviously actually quite difficult. It was really tight there in the last couple of laps.
It was tight, yeah. I think the Cayman seems to come on better after. At the start, it's a little bit quicker. We need sort of lap and a half to really get our tyres in, and obviously we had a sprint at the beginning and a small sprint at the end, but yeah, the result's good.
Simon, what a day! You're on the podium again for race 2. That was close though.
Yeah, it was. I felt like I gave Mark a proper run for his money, and it was great. We didn't have too many racing laps, which was a shame, but I showed my nose a few times, especially out in the back section of the circuit, and I think probably my tyres were I think the car's maybe a little bit kinder on its tyres than the 911, so by race 2, I thought that might play to my hands a bit, but not quite enough laps to make it, to make a move. But no, it was good, really, really good fun.
James, that was a pretty epic last couple of laps there, and you really were committed to that move.
Yeah, no, it was after the restart, after the accident. I knew I was quicker than Dyer. I knew I had him set for like 1 or 2 corners. It was just a case of working out where the best place was to overtake him. I managed to get down the inside, but no, it was a really good race and really good racing and very competitive grid.
Jonathan, congratulations! 4 out of 4, all race wins. Fantastic.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, again, fantastic circuit. Great to be back with Porsche Club. Yeah, car ran quite well. Surprised a little bit that the tyres didn't give me more headache than they did. They hang out quite well, given how long we've been on them for 6 sessions now. So they'll be good for the bin. But yeah, no, it was good. All went well.
Trevor, that's 4 out of 4 races this season, all with trophies. Fantastic start to the season.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to make it 14 out of 14 by the end of the season, but you never know.
It was obviously quite a difficult race still, though, but it was really tight with some close battles.
Yes, I think everybody was dreading the restart to see what was going to happen, but yeah. Yes, so it's I'm very pleased, quite happy.
Well done, Paul. 3rd place, another podium.
Yeah, it's good. It's a shame to have the safety car, especially such a great circuit, but these things happen, and so I didn't have a very good start, but then I seemed to get up into a position. Then we had the safety car to launch myself when the safety car went in, so a hectic few laps afterwards. So yeah, that's it.
Congratulations, Ben. Another win for you in Class 3.
Yeah, it's been a perfect weekend, hasn't it? I've never done that before.
Well, there's first for everything.
Yeah, the last race win was 15 years ago, so it's lovely to come back and have a go at this. We made another really good start. Got a few Class 2 cars, I think, on the first few laps as well, just to bridge the gap to some of the other Class 3 guys. Yeah, but the car's superb, isn't it? Look at it, it looks lovely. I'm so proud of these guys, it's fantastic.
Josh, fantastic, another podium for you.
Yep, I'm really happy with P2. I got a good start from P2, got a good start around the outside of some of the C2 lads, and then Ben had me down the back straight around the outside, which was, I can't fault the move, it was a mint move, and then I sort of backed off because I didn't want to do any damage to anyone's car. So for me to be near his times and keeping up with Ben, it's a confidence boost, and I'm really happy today. So done a good job in race 2, I'm happy.
That's a fantastic result for you. You must be thrilled with that.
Oh, over the moon. To finish, over the moon. Yeah.
Brilliant. It was actually a really difficult race, though, to keep your head, keep cool, obviously, throughout that safety car period.
Yeah, keeping cool was the main thing, just trying to get round and be safe. You see a lot of cars smoking out there, and it's like, well, let's just be safe.
Mark Sumpter maintains the championship lead ahead of Simon Clark. Craig Wilkins in 3rd from Chris Dyer. James Birch in 5th from Pete Morris. Top 10 completed by Michael Price, Mark McAleer, Peter Urseg and Andy Toon. In Class 2, Jonathan Evans the leader from Trevor Lewis, then Paul Seagrave and David Botterill. Ed Grimshaw in 5th ahead of Steve Freeman. In the rest of the racing competition, Class 3, that's headed by Joshua Morris from Ollie Coles, then Wayne Minogue, James Cannon, Julian Morris and William Heslop.
Well, the cars are now being packed away, ready to head to Silverstone in a few weeks' time. We'll be on the Grand Prix circuit there as well. We'll see you then.